let's move on to some climate change news. Uh, whether you believe this is climate change news or not, this is, planetary news. 7.5 magnitude earthquake strikes near Alaska, triggering tsunami advisory. This was yesterday. Just after I finished about an hour or so after I finished my video yesterday, there was not a tsunami. But anyways, a 7.5 magnitude earthquake struck off the Alaska Peninsula on Monday. That's quite a large earthquake, triggering a tsunami warning in the region that has since been downgraded to an advisory, according to officials. Some schools were also evacuated. There were no immediate reports of damage. Excuse me. The U.S. Geological Survey said the quake occurred at 1:54 p.m. Pacific time, some 56 miles southeast of Sand Hill and nearly 600 miles southwest of Anchorage. The earthquake had a depth of about 25 miles. Several larger aftershocks were also recorded at magnitude 5.8, 5.7, 5.2, and 5.5. But there you go. No real reports of damage. And at least I didn't hear any. If anybody has any other information, please let me know. We're going over to Zach Labe. Record high temperatures in the Siberian Arctic over the last 3 months. And record low sea ice. And here we are. Whoa, looking kind of spiky there. And the anomaly in the Arctic is way above 1, where, supposed to safely, the entire planet is supposed to safely reside at 1 for the next 3 decades. We're not at 1.5. No. Are we at 1.5? No. Are we at 2? No. Whoa, this looks like we're almost at 2.5 in the Arctic, that is. If you're chilling in the Arctic, that's a little cold joke there. If you're chilling in the Arctic, you're not so chilly because you're almost 2.5 Celsius above normal, which is hot, hot, hot. Moving on to something else from Zach Labe. This is July to September Siberian sea arse. I see your arse is getting quite low. Yeah, down she goes. Look at this. Here's their trend line here. Zoop. Trend line. Zoop. Where does that trend line go? That goes to about zoop. And probably a little faster. Prognosis, not good. More from Zach Labe. We've added yet another month. September 2020. At 1C above the 1951-1980 climate baseline. So that's not that long ago. So that's 1C since 1951. Where are we at since 1880 or 1750? Inquiring minds want to know. Here we go. We'll look at this. And here we are in the black. Look how many months in the black we have, which is above 1C this year. And we had many months in a row from late last year through earlier this year. And then we went all the way up past 1.2C in February. And again, you can see the trend. If you can see the trend since 1905, this goes back to 1901. All the way. You see where we're going with this. We'll see where we're going. It doesn't take a climate scientist that doesn't take a degree or a lot of knowledge to just look at that chart and go, oh, oh, not good. Let's move on to this article from, or not an article. We're not really going to look at the article. We're just going to read the tweet is fairly hilarious. This is from Rebecca Willis. Talking about this article from the Telegraph. Could tiny forests the size of tennis courts be the secret to tackling climate change? So she said, could XXX be the secret to tackling climate change? Is such a lazy headline. The answer is always no. Climate is a systemic issue and needs a comprehensive plan. No single widget or idea is going to solve everything. Gotta love the tiny forest, though. Yeah, we're not even going to look at the tiny forest. I mean, sounds cute, whatever. Get you a tiny forest today. Maybe you can go buy a tiny forest at Home Depot. Plant yours today. It's like a tiny forest kit. But right, it's always like the one thing that's going to cure climate change. Even for policymakers, even for scientists, what we need is carbon budgets. As soon as we can get those in place, then everything's fixed. Climate change is over. We're on the road to solving climate change. As soon as we get them carbon, the carbon taxes, whatever they're called. Everything's going to be better then. One, tiny houses, tiny people, massive forest. Exactly. I don't know if we need tiny forests. We need big old fat forests. And, where people are not, right? We need fat old forests where there are no people. Tiny forest sounds like a lot of people making little tiny forests and feeling good about, right? Like, oh, everybody's over here working on our little tiny forests. Like, oh, gee, that are disconnected from other tiny forests. Sounds downright stupid. Anyways. Brian Melt, anyone see the HBO story based on James Comey's memoir? I know, they made it a whole HBO story. Pure hubris, toxic masculinity, misogyny, extreme, I'm sure. Kim, that's the right idea. Has everyone subscribed to this channel? If not, please do so now. We have 128 watching, 61 likes. We're doing pretty good today, guys, for a Tuesday. Alexi says 1951 to 1980. Come on, man. I'm going to take that in Joe Biden voice. Come on, man. Blue Gold says I got a tiny forest on my chin. Yeah. Poppy Davis, replace American yards with tiny forests might help. It might help. You're right. Or, tiny forests in the front yard and a garden, vegetable garden in the back, or vice versa. I don't know. In Southern California, especially in my neighborhood, what's all the rage is doing native plants. So a lot of people are tearing up their lawns and planting cactus and other trees, acacias, and I don't know if are acacias native. Maybe not acacias. Whatever, like native bushes that you might find in the foothills of Southern California. And it's all the rage. Like, probably half, not of the houses on my street, but a lot of the houses on the block down from me all have these like native plants, front yard kind of thing going on, which is cool. I'm a supporter. I like it. Not seeing any front yard gardens though, which I would love to see. I would love what people have also in my neighborhood. Not too many people have this, but people have like fruit trees in their front yard, which I like. Like people have lemon trees or grapefruit trees. or different fruits. People are starting to plant fruit trees in their front yards. They're not big enough to bear fruit, but so that the neighborhood, it's like fruit trees. Everybody just take one, right? Which I'm a huge fan of. Manzanitas, yes. Boiled rope lampposts. Osama said, what did Osama say? What did he say? I don't know. Kameshwari Kate says, I keep watching ships being loaded with Vancouver Island old growth forest onto big ships headed to Japan. I'm on 16th floor condo of International Harbor. And you got a view of it all, of the destruction. Sounds lovely, and by lovely I mean terrifying. Anyways, I see. Yes, Anton Kreyes. Those tiny forests will need to be human exclusion zones to survive. Exactly. And if you take the humans out of it, they stop being tiny forests and just start being forests. Just grow, forest, grow. Run, forest, run. Anyways, let's go to the blazes. The wildfires in Colorado. Colorado firefighters struggle to control large blazes in drought-stricken state. The Cameron Peak Fire, the largest on record in the state, has burned 2,003,634 acres and destroyed more than 50 structures. Oh, hold on. Pardon me, guys. Sorry about that. Colorado firefighters were struggling to control several large wildfires, including the state's largest on record, with smoke badgering some of the most populous areas in the region. The largest blaze in Colorado, the Cameron Peak Fire, has scorched 203,000, almost 204,000 acres and destroyed more than 50 structures in the Arapahoe and Roosevelt National Forests since it ignited in mid-August and is 62% contained, according to InciWeb, a wildfire tracking site. But new fires have continued to break out, including a blaze that started on Saturday about 17 miles northwest of Boulder and has destroyed at least 20 homes. And a fire that started Sunday about 20 miles northwest of Boulder and caused the evacuation of at least 45 homes. That last fire prompted the evacuation of the entire town of Ward, which has about 150 residents, county officials said. On Tuesday, the state's health department asked residents in the Denver and Boulder metro area to limit driving to avoid making air pollution caused by wildfire smoke even worse. Colorado has been stricken by a severe drought, which is making the landscape more prone to burning. The latest figures from the U.S. Drought Monitor showed that the entire state of Colorado is at some level of drought. It's extremely late. It should be snowing by now, said Larry Helmerich, the spokesman for the Rocky Mountain Area Coordination Center. Federal interagency wildfire task was dispatching resources across the region. There have been few lightning strikes in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado, so it is believed most of the wildfires are human-caused, Helmerich said. Tinder-dry fuels and high winds are causing flames to spread rapidly. It's so dry that it's hard to get a handle on them, he said. It's been a disastrous fire season for the American West. California has seen more than 3.3 million acres scorched by fire since mid-August. A mid-August lightning storm ignited hundreds of fires across the state and recorded a gigafire, a blaze spanning 1 million acres for the first time in modern history. Oregon suffered through some of the most intense blazes in recent state history in September, when multiple deadly fires forced hundreds of thousands to evacuate. Firefighters have also battled large blazes in Washington State, Arizona, and New Mexico. I'm going to move on. Lastly, today I want to cover this article from The Atlantic titled, "I'm Leaving the West Coast." And I'm going to try and do this pretty quickly because I'm running out of time. It's from September 26, 2020. The fire, smoke, and heat are no longer a fluke, but our future. The time has come for us to flee. This is by Carly Frisbee Brogan. Portland, Oregon has its share of gloomy days, so waking up to darkness wasn't that strange. When I looked outside, however, the sky was overcast. It was filled with smoke, the color of pumpkin spice, the result of nearby fires. A soupy miasma, the most noxious air in the world. I'd had enough. I told my husband we need to move. Having grown up in California's Sonoma County, I've been spoiled by natural beauty and perfect weather. When I was 30, I briefly lived in New York, but after only 6 months, I started to miss horizon lines defined by mountains and sunsets, the sweet fragrance of dry vegetation in late summer, silvery oak trees, and massive redwoods. I bought a one-way ticket back home. I remember the way the bay looked as my plane descended into San Francisco. Glittery, golden, and serene, like a Maxfield Parrish painting I had on my wall in high school. I felt protected on this side of the country, grounded. Within the boundaries of water and range, I never thought I'd leave the West Coast again. When I later moved north to Oregon, my new home felt like going back in time to the California of my childhood, one that was a notch cooler. I love the rich dankness of Oregon's forests, the wet needles underfoot, the ghostly fog that hovers at night, diffusing city lights into colorful blurs. The weather has started to diminish. To diminish my love for the West, I've made a habit of going home to Santa Rosa every summer, but I'm usually disappointed to be greeted with triple-digit temperatures and hazy air. In 2015, the Valley Fire ripped through California's Lake County, around 100 miles north of San Francisco, and where my family has a summer cabin. Though our cabin was spared, much of the nearby town and residential area was demolished. The hills that were once blanketed by trees are now stubbled with charred spears. In 2017, the Eagle Creek Fire in Oregon's Columbia River Gorge left the air unbreathable for days. It snowed ash in Portland, and I purchased N95 masks for the first time. I had never even heard of these masks before, but news sources said they were the only ones that could keep out harmful smoke particles. 1 month later, I awoke to a barrage of text messages, mostly from friends on the East Coast who had been up looking at the news while I slept. "Are your parents okay?" a few of them read. I immediately called my mom, who answered the phone in tears. She was woken in the middle of the night by a loud noise. High winds in the nearby mountains had caused a stainless steel barrel in their backyard to topple. Mom, in her nightgown and flip-flops, walked out to find the heavy thing on its side. She mistook the noises outside for the ordinary sounds of night. The strange mating calls of nocturnal creatures and the cars of young partiers drinking in wooded crannies. Eventually, her eyes acclimated to the darkness. She saw a slow procession of cars moving down the hill. She heard someone call, "Get out now." The smell of smoke finally registered. She grabbed my father and they left in their nightclothes, with the fireball just behind them, igniting oak and pine, shingle and roof. All that was left of our home was 3 brick pillars and a mangled garage door. The baby books burned, as well as the photographs and the family heirlooms. My family lost everything that's important to us, the evidence of our existence. Since that catastrophic night, my hometown hasn't been the same. The once sublime time of year from August through October has become a PTSD triggering season in hell. Yearly fires now sweep through the region, brought on by extreme heat, high winds, and freak lightning storms. Preemptive power outages, mandatory evacuations, hazardous air quality, school and work closures, and the risk of losing everything to fire have been a yearly reality. I've urged my parents to leave, but they are too attached to the area, having recently bought a new home only 3 miles down the ridge from the one that burned. Why do they do that? Well, I don't share their optimism. And because reality. Last week, I sat in my living room in Portland wearing a ratty 2-month-old N95 mask and a pair of swimming goggles to keep my eyes from burning. The smoke seeped under our front door, making me dizzy and nauseous. That sounds like my house about a month ago. Our apartment was a stifling 90 degrees inside, but we couldn't open the windows for ventilation. My lungs ached all around, in my back and under my armpits and behind my breasts. I went to urgent care, and the waiting room was filled with others with similar symptoms. On the way home, I had the urge to keep driving until I reached blue skies and fresh air. Animals have a primal instinct to flee from fire, to move towards safety. Birds take to the canopy, up away from the blaze. Rabbits and mice scurry for the moist shelter of hollow logs and needle-packed soil. Elk and deer wade in icy streams. The 2020 western United States wildfires have scorched more than 5 million acres, and they continue to blaze. Because of climate change, we know that this weather isn't a fluke, but a trend, our future. Thank you for seeing that reality, Carly. The time has come for us to flee. My husband and I plan on moving to the Minneapolis area this spring. We chose the flat, cold, landlocked city because my sister and her family live there. It has a vibrant literary community. It's affordable, and most importantly, it's unlikely to suffer a 20-year mega drought and consequent wildfires. But cross your fingers, because no area is safe, right? You may not get a mega drought or wildfires, but you may get floods, or other calamities that extreme climate change is about to bring to many, many people. Though I'm already mourning the ocean and the Douglas firs and the view of Mount Hood that make me gasp every time I look to the east, I know that if I stay, I will miss them even more, for I will not get to go outside and enjoy them. So a lot of things could be said about this. I'm sure, these folks have the money and the resources to move, to relocate, that others don't. However, they are using their brains and seeing that this is a trend and not, this is not a fluke. This is not a one-time calamity. This is not this is just a bad year. Oh, remember that year? It was so crazy, 2020? No, every single year for at least the last 5 or 6 years has brought us worse and worse and worse wildfires, temperature extremes, droughts, etc. This is not a fluke, but a trend. This is going to get worse. You may get a respite 1 or 2 years in the next decade, but as the trend line is going, we are going to see worse wildfires every single year until who knows. Because climate change is not magically going to stop, not magically going to abate, not magically going to go into into magic slumber. It's not magically going to go into hibernation. It's not going to go away. It's just going to keep getting worse. So they're seeing the writing on the wall, and they're taking action, and they're doing what they got to do. And so there you go. Hey guys, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and you can support the channel. The links below: PayPal, Patreon, Square. Also, if you'd like to watch the live streams, you can watch the live streams on my Patreon channel. You can subscribe for as little as $1. So hopefully I will see you over there.